relationship and mindset master, doctor, and your leverage for change. Today, I'm coming to speak to you about what are some of the qualities that we have, some of the qualities that we have that can draw toxic people to us, attract toxic people. And now these are usually good qualities, but if you are not a secure individual, if you're not a secure individual, this can actually cause a lot of problems because you're going to go in a direction that is just very uh, abandoning of yourself. You're going to be abandoning yourself, right? So, what I want to speak about is some of the qualities that can really cause you harm if you're not careful about how you actually handle these qualities. So, at the core of this, guys, at the core of really how these qualities, at the core of these qualities, what forms the basic base of these qualities is self-abandonment. And this is usually something that the individual with the anxious, preoccupied attachment style does. Now, it's always good, I mean, we all need and should develop good qualities, helping others, doing things for others, encouraging others, stuff like that. But when it comes to someone who is anxious, or sometimes it's a fearful, avoidant attachment style individual who does this, because remember, they have both the anxious and the dismissive side. But it's the anxious side of the fearful avoidant that will respond in a way that can self abandon, basically, the same as the anxious, preoccupied individual. Now, the thing about this is that, I'm not saying, I want to be very clear for you to understand that I'm not saying that you shouldn't help people, that sometimes you might need to go out of your way to help people, even when it's uncomfortable for you. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that when you do that, and people just take it for granted, and they push the ante and then just keep doing that all the time, keep asking you to go out of your way for them when they're not going out, when it's not reciprocated by them, that is taking advantage of you, right? And so I want you to be very to really understand that it's good to have good qualities. It's when you allow someone to take advantage of you, and for you to always be the only one, you're the only person doing these things, over and over again, and nobody is reciprocating. And so after a while, what happens, guys, is that you begin to feel very, you feel diminished in who you are, your sense of self. Um, you feel shame because you're blaming yourself inwardly. You're not saying it to anyone. You're not talking to the people about what they're doing and how they're hurting you. You're blaming yourself and shaming yourself for how can I be so stupid to allow this to happen to me. So all of these things are going to be coming back at you, even though you're the one giving everything of yourself. At the base, as I mentioned earlier, at the base of this, let me see, at the base of this, these behaviors, people pleasing, self abandoning, no boundaries, you don't have any boundaries. These are some of the things that causes that. And at the base of that is really you're abandoning yourself. So although as an anxious, preoccupied individual, you fear being abandoned, now you turn around and you abandon yourself. So you see how that can diminish your sense of self-worth when when not only is everybody else doing it to you, but you're also doing it to yourself, right? Now, how do you allow people to actually you know abandon you? Well, first of all, you're looking for validation in somebody else. You're always looking outside of yourself for validation, and because you're doing that, you seek validation by people pleasing, by saying yes to everything somebody says. you find it almost impossible to say no to anybody requesting you to do something. So they may ask you your boss asks you at the last minute. You already had plans, maybe a flight to go somewhere. You had plans with family members. You have some very important activity, something you need to do over the weekend. But somebody asks you, whether it be your boss or somebody else, ask you, and this is something that's done on a regular basis, can you do this for me? And you give up, you abandon everything that you need to do to go and help this person or to do whatever it is that the boss asks you to do. You don't have, you cannot, you have not created a boundary to say, no, I'm sorry, but my weekends are for me, right? I'll work in the evenings if necessary to fulfill anything that I need to accomplish for work, but I'd like to have my weekends for me. You haven't created those boundaries. And so your employer might be, or somebody else, maybe your parents, right? Or your family members. This happens so much with family members, guys, you'll be surprised. Might come and say to you, I want you to help me move. But then you had some plans, very important things that you needed to accomplish. And then you just kind of just abandon yourself and basically go and do that to satisfy, because you need to people please someone for them to validate you. So you have to be very careful, guys, that when you are in this position of always giving, you're a nice person, you want to give to others, you want to make others happy, but you're doing it at the expense of your happiness, and you're doing it at the expense of your emotional and mental stability. Because all of these things that you do that you really don't want to do, but you feel compelled to do it because you are a people pleaser and you have no boundaries, you have set no boundaries from these people doing or saying or asking you for things that you just cannot give, but you put it out there and you give everything of yourself at your own expense. I mean, I have so many clients, guys. I have so many clients, so many friends, so many experiences that I've seen others do that minimized their sense of self, their self-worth. And then what I see happen is that those same family members, this family member had gone out of their way to help, and help, whether it be financially, just going out over and fixing things and doing whatever it takes. And then you have somebody, when they stop doing it, the family members stop talking to them. When they stop doing it, then nobody wants to be around them. So basically, they were doing all of this for somebody to love them. Now, at the core of this too, also, guys, is that individuals who do this all the time, who have no boundaries and who allow this to happen to them all the time, what happens is that at their very core, they believe they need others to validate them, right? And they have not grown to love who they are and to really have this strong sense of self. And so what happens is that they're at the mercy and the whim and fancy of everybody else around them who wishes to use them. So guys, the one thing I want you to learn to do is to be very aware when you meet individuals that if you're the one who's always giving of yourself and nobody's reciprocating, you're always the ones checking on them to see if they're okay, but nobody's calling you to see if you're okay. You're the ones always abandoning any project you have to do to go and to do theirs, right? At your own expense. Then you need to know that you have to create boundaries and you have to learn to say no. And it is so difficult for individuals like this because I've always done this from the very beginning. And so when they decide to do this, they have to also recognize that the moment they decide to create a boundary, you are going to have pushback, guys. The moment one of my someone I know decided to create a boundary about, no, I can no longer help you financially, people stop talking to them. Their family members stop talking to them, right? And just basically ostracize them. This is someone who would be helpful to them in every single situation, go and do things for them, and yet The moment they say they can no longer do it, because maybe financially they're also now have now reached a place where they just cannot financially do it. Because before they were kind of like putting themselves out to do that, but now they just realize they cannot do it, otherwise they'll be on the streets. And yet they are abandoned by the family members who got all of what they needed from them before, right? So, guys, I want to let you know that these are some of the qualities that a lot of individuals who are toxic and really don't care about others will look at you and see that that you're somebody who cannot say no. You're someone who has no boundaries. You're somebody who feel like you have to people please others to feel loved and wanted, and uh, maybe also feel that you'll be there for them when they need you. But this is not always true. So you have to be very careful when you are forming relationships to really look into these things and really be aware of the people that you form relationships with. And people now, of course, you want to be able to help people, but understand that when you help someone, that person, when you are in need, that person should also be there for you. I hope that kind of strikes up some kind of a conversation around not being just walked over like a doormat by watching out for those people who all their sole purpose is to take advantage of you. This is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor, and your leverage for change. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel on YouTube if you found this information valuable. And I'll come back every now and again with something else that I think just, I know you know all of these things, but a lot of individuals don't, they just allow themselves in this kind of a cycle all the time, and then they attract all these people who just take advantage of them. I hope you learned something, and please like again, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.